Welcome students. Today I'll talk about pedigree. What? Dog food? No, it's not dog food. I'll talk about pedigree analysis, which is one of the important topic in genetics in class 12 biology. First of all, let us discuss the symbols used in pedigree analysis. So for males, we use a square box, and for female, we use a circle. Now, if we are to show that the person is affected, then we make use of darkened circle and darkened square. Now, if we are to show mating between male and female, mating in other terms, you can say that the marriage between males and female. So that marriage is represented by a bar, a line that is connecting both the square and the circle. Then other important symbols that are used in pedigree are, you're watching that on left hand side some Roman numbers are written. So these Roman numbers represent the generation. So this is generation 1. Then below this is generation 2. And if below that also some another generation is there, so that would be representing generation 3. And the next symbol after that is the symbol for identical twins. Now this is how we represent identical twins. And below you see the symbol for non-identical twins. So this is how we show the non-identical twins. Identical twins are made from the monozygotic, from the single zygote only, and the non-identical twins are from two different zygotes. So it is dizygotic. Now I'm going to tell you about two steps. There are two steps by which you can sort out a pedigree problem. So for that, the step 1 is, affected children will have at least one affected parent. So first of all, what do you have to watch in your pedigree? That affected children will have at least one of the affected parent. Now, if you're getting the answer as yes, then it suggests that the pedigree is dominant pedigree. Now, if comes out to be the answer as no, then the pedigree is the recessive pedigree. So this is step 1, that when you find out this thing in your pedigree chart, that affected children will have at least one affected parent, then if yes is the answer, the pedigree is dominant, and if no is the answer, then pedigree is recessive in nature. Now further, step 2. So when you move to step 2, so suppose if you get answer as no, that means that the pedigree is recessive in nature. Now after that, what you have to do, you have to focus on the females in the pedigree. So just watch the affected females. Now, if those affected females will have affected father, as well as they have in their next generation the affected sons. So if this condition is true, then the pedigree is X-linked recessive in nature. Now, for this, if the answer is no, then in that particular case, the pedigree is autosomal recessive in nature. So this is step 2, but the step 2 under the other option, that if the we got yes for the first step 1, then that pedigree is dominant. Now if the pedigree is dominant, we need to see the males in that pedigree. We need to focus on the males. Now if males, we have to see that if the males, they have the affected mothers, and if they have the affected daughters. If the answer is yes to this statement, then the pedigree is X-linked pedigree or sex-linked pedigree. And if the answer is no, then the pedigree is autosomal dominant. Now let us apply this to some of the pedigree problems. So you're watching a pedigree in front of you. Here we can see that this is generation 1, this is generation 2, and this is the generation 3. So there is a couple, and we can see that in this pedigree that they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 children, and one of the daughter is married to a person, and then they have their own children, including one affected son and two normal daughters. What is reflected from this pedigree? Now let us observe step 1 in this pedigree. Now if we observe the step 1, let us see this is one of the affected son. Now if we look at the parents of this affected son, both the parents are normal in this case. So Let us watch another affected son. Now, if we again see, the parents of this also are unaffected. So what do we get from this? That we are getting the answer no for this thing. So the affected children are not having the affected parents. So our answer is no. So we'll be suggesting that, so it is automatically that this pedigree is recessive in nature. So one thing is clear, that this pedigree is recessive in nature. Now let's sort out the second issue. Now we have studied that if the pedigree is recessive in nature, then you need to look through the females. Now if you watch the females in this pedigree, suppose if I am talking about this female, so you're not getting that they don't have the affected father. I'm talking about this link, and again, but she is having the affected son. But since the whole condition is not true, so again this is no. So this suggests that this pedigree is autosomal recessive in nature. Now let's get the correct answer in the next slide. What kind of pedigree is this? Yes, this is autosomal recessive pedigree. Now let us solve one more problem based on pedigree. So this is another question. Again, we can see that there are 3 generations in this particular pedigree. So if we look at the step 1, now this is one of the affected individual. And if we watch that one of the parent is affected, so our condition is coming yes. Now this is another affected individual. Again, we see that the parents are affected, and here also one of the individual, and here also we are watching that the parent is affected. So it is yes for this thing. So this yes suggests that step 1 is yes. So that suggests that this particular pedigree is dominant in nature. Now let's move on to the second step. Now if the pedigree is dominant in nature, we are going to see the male members. So this is the male member. Now this male member is having affected mother, but here no daughters are shown. So if we watch another one, so that goes to be no, because we are not getting any link which is showing that the affected son is having affected mothers also and having affected daughters also. So that is why this pedigree is also autosomal in nature. So according to me, this pedigree is autosomal dominant pedigree. Now let's watch what is the correct answer. Yes, the correct answer for this pedigree is that it is autosomal dominant in nature. Now let's solve one more problem of pedigree. So this is another problem of pedigree which is showing the 4 generations. So you can see the Roman numbers written on the left hand side, 1, 2, 3 and 4. Now let's watch the same things again. Now if we talk about this affected person, so one of the affected parent is there. If we talk about this, again affected parent is there. So if we look up till here only, then we'll get the picture, okay, that the pedigree is dominant in nature. But we need to see the other affected members also. If you watch this affected member, then none of the parent is affected. See, both the parents are not affected. If we watch these affected members, again the parents are not affected. If we watch for this also, the parents are not at all affected. So this will go by this statement. So this is telling us that this pedigree is recessive in nature. Now let's move on to the step 2. Now if the pedigree is recessive in nature, we will be looking at the females. Now let's see the affected female. So this female is having the father, affected father, but the daughters are not affected. So we watch the daughter is not affected. So again we'll have to take it no for this. So since it is no, so the pedigree is autosomal in nature. So this particular pedigree is autosomal recessive in nature. Now let's watch what is correct about this pedigree. So this is autosomal recessive pedigree. So this is how we are going to sort out the problems related to pedigree analysis in just simple 2 steps. That's all for today. Thank you so much. I hope this will help you a lot for your examinations, and soon I'll be turning up with my next videos. Until then, goodbye. If you like the video, you can share it, you can subscribe it, and watch me later on. Thank you.